What's up, everyone, and welcome back, or welcome to SANDCAST Beach Volleyball with Tri Bourne and Travis Mewhirter. It has been an absolutely wild ride these past couple weeks in the world of beach volleyball. We had the Tokyo Olympics, which, in case you missed it, April Ross and Alex Kleinman won a gold medal, so an enormous congrats to them, an enormous congrats to April in specific, who became the third all-time winningest player in Olympic beach volleyball history and completed the full medal set. She now has a gold to go with her silver from London and her bronze from Rio, becoming the first woman ever to have all three. Congrats also to our American women indoors who won their first gold medal ever. And Karch Karai just continues to collect medal after medal. Now, the reason I'm giving this introduction is because we're doing something a little different today. We have only ever run one show more than once in the history of SANDCAST, and that was Eric Zahn's, which we ran for the second time last year on his birthday. But we are going to rerun the fifth episode we ever did, and that was with April Ross. And the reason we're going to do that is because when April won gold, so I went back and re-listened to it because I knew that that was the episode where she announced her decision that she was going to play with Alex Kleinman. And I went back and I knew that there would be some good quotes in there. And I ended up listening to the whole thing. And we recorded that in November of 2017. And pretty much everything that she said was going to happen over the next 5 years came true almost to the word. She talked about the challenges that her and Kleinman would have. She talked about the potential of winning a gold medal. And I ended up finding myself like hanging on pretty much every single word. It was awesome. To re-listen to this episode is absolutely incredible and such a valuable experience. And because I've been traveling, Tri's been traveling, obviously, and congrats to him. He's an Olympian now, which is amazing, and we're going to chat about that with him in an upcoming episode very soon. But I think that this is re-listening to this episode now it's incredible because April, she's an oracle, basically. She took a shot. She took a huge risk when she thought about maybe not even going for Tokyo at all. And she ended up winning gold because she took that huge shot. And I think that you guys will absolutely love this episode. So enjoy this episode, this throwback episode with April Ross, the oracle of beach volleyball and a Tokyo gold medalist. Shoots. This is SANDCAST, Beach Volleyball with Tri Bourne and Travis Mewhirter, presented by Marriott Vacation Club Rentals and brought to you by volleyballmag.com. We're here for a Monday Night Football edition, so if I start yelling, it's because my Ravens are losing again. We're back in our Board on the Beach studios. What's happening, Tri?
What up? Yeah, Texans, Ravens tonight, and it wasn't a good start for you so far, but we turned it off so we're not distracted.
It's never a good start.
So you're not distracted with the Ravens losing.
No, we have kind of a test to introduce our guest here today.
We have a special guest announcer.
We do.
Coming in.
Try, you want to hit it?
Yeah. Alexa, who is April Ross?
April Elizabeth Ross is an American professional beach volleyball player.
There you have it.
Oh, what an intro!
That's how you know you're legit when Alexa knows you.
When Alexa knows who you are, you've made it.
Can we try it with Tri Bourne?
We could try. She won't even understand my name. Alexa, who is Tri Bourne?
Sorry, I'm not sure.
God damn it, Alexa! Embarrassing me.
Your own Alexa hit you with the burn.
Yeah, man. Well. We have April Ross. If you didn't get that from Alexa. April, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
How was your Thanksgiving?
My Thanksgiving was mellow. I went to Big Bear,
Nice.
Chilled out with the fam, had too much wine.
Perfect.
Is there such a thing?
Let's keep that going, man.
Yeah, I feel like the older I get, the more I need to stay away from this ethanol.
Well, sorry that we just popped the bottle.
I know. No, it's okay. 2 glasses a night is healthy for you.
Yeah, antioxidants, right?
Yeah. Good for the brain.
Did anybody hit up Cyber Monday today?
Oh, that reminds me. I have stuff
too
in
late.
my shopping cart.
It's not
I have
too
stuff
late.
in my shopping cart.
Oh, you got a few hours.
I know. I'm going to purchase it. It's all workout clothes. It's so stupid because I have more workout clothes than I could ever need, like for the rest of my life,
Right.
but I still like shopping for them.
It's still, I don't know, it's just
Gotta
fun
do
to
what you
get.
gotta do.
Like, I have probably 20 pairs of board shorts, but I don't want to wear any of them after like 4 months. Now I just need new board
It's
shorts.
like motivating to have like new workout gear.
That's
Makes
true.
you want to get in the gym.
I'm just getting into the shopping game. Pretty much avoided it my whole life. Just wear like all my USA volleyball gear or any of that. But I lost like 30 pounds over the last year, so nothing fits me.
It's just hanging
and
off
Gabby,
you.
like my wife, just forced me to go to the store with her and just do my first shopping spree of my life. And
How'd it go?
I'm looking pretty good these days. Feeling good.
I do like that
fits.
shirt.
Thank you. Well,
What's your
Snazzy
go-to
long
brand
sleeve.
or shopping like place?
I ended up with like 10 pieces of Ruka clothing.
Yeah, that's good for tall people.
I'm into Ruka.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
it
I
too.
know that Ryan Doherty, he's been plugging. God, I forget what the company's called. It's like some tall and slim company.
Oh, he should totally have that sponsor.
he's been promoting it really hard. I don't know if it's a sponsor yet, but I think he's trying to get it to be.
I just learned that Karl Kloss makes like 40-inch inseam women's jeans. So if there's any girl volleyball players listening, I heard that's a good place to get jeans.
There we
Yeah.
have it for our female listeners.
Plug.
Yeah.
Nice.
And now, are you have you taken your nice long break in the off season back in the sand, or did you really? Is there like almost no off season at this point with how early the FIVB starts?
Oh, sorry. I just got a text from Ryan Doherty. I wanted to check it out.
Oh, what did you say? Hey,
It's
Ryan.
financial advice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. My favorite thing to talk to him about.
You can listen to the Ryan episode 2 if you want to.
Yeah.
Did you talk about that stuff?
He told us what he was up to.
Yeah, I like picking his brain. So answer to that question is no, I took 0 time off. And the reason for that was I had lots of hiccups this season. And I just felt like the whole summer, it was like stop and go. I never felt sharp. I never felt in shape, explosive, kind of ready to go. And I got so frustrated with that as soon as Chicago AVP was over, like I could have taken a break. And my body honestly didn't feel very good, but I was just like, I think taking time off is going to make me feel worse. And I just could not wait to get in the gym and get strong again and start to get fit and like started to train right away on the sand. I didn't like practice that much. I broke my toe. So I've been going since season was over. And I'm like super fired up still.
Yeah, and how's that? So I know a lot of players, it's always a balancing act between getting burnout and staying fresh. And it seems like you're staying fresh by working out all the time. You're like fighting burnout by actually staying active.
Yeah, I'm worried about that actually because I do experience burnout and getting ready for Rio, like the 3 years leading up to Rio, you're always looking for a way to like get a little bit better, get a little bit more disciplined, and just every you don't realize how gnarly you're getting because it's just like this day-to-day effort and it starts to build up. And by the time I got to Rio and like my experience there, I was like so burnt out. Like I was stoked on that experience, but so burnt out. And like took a year and kind of just like let loose a little bit because like I was just so fried. And so I want to learn from that because I don't want that to happen again. And I'm going so hard right now. I'm like, April, when are you going to take a break? Like you need to just like let off the gas a little bit. It's a huge balancing act. And I think that's one thing I've learned like through my career is like, I can get really gnarly and really intense, which I think is like why I've had so much success.
Right.
But I think there's a way to like train smart and enjoy the journey a little bit more and still maximize what you're doing. And I think a lot of times taking that time, if you use it wisely to like rest and kind of refresh, is going to help you do even better. But I'm still searching for that fine line. And like my day today was just like back to back to back and like train and like lift and like treatment and do all this stuff. And I just like need to calm down a little bit. But our first tournament is in January now, which is kind of ridiculous. So can't let off the gas yet.
Yeah,
do you like having the FIVB season start that early? Because I know that some people, they do enjoy it, having just a nice early start to the year. But I know a lot of the more veteran players are like, I'd really like another couple months, to not be in the sand.
Yeah, I was expecting Fort Lauderdale to be the first tournament, and that gave me a good amount of breathing room to figure out like partner stuff and get in shape and all that stuff. And then they come out with the January event. I'm like, oh, you're kidding me. So I kind of like it because it makes me really focused right now, whereas maybe I would kind of just be a little bit more cruise control. And I'm the type of player who likes spaced out events. So I don't mind it too much that they start in January. And I've always kind of fought in our sport, like for a year-round calendar. In the past, it's been really hard to have your last event in like September and then your first event in April. And it's like, how do I make money for like these whatever 7 months that I'm off? So I actually do like it, but I talked to like Phil Dawhauser in the gym and I tease him like, so you're like training for The Hague? And he's like, absolutely not. Like, there's no way I'm going to The Hague. I'm like, I wish I was like you, but I'm not.
Phil's definitely on the chill spectrum. He's on that side of the baseline over the obsessed over training.
Yeah. I mean, he's really disciplined. I'm impressed by his discipline, but him and Nick are just, they can turn it on so easily. It seems so easy. They both work their butts off in the gym. And I'm sure at practice, but they can afford. I don't know. I just feel like they can afford to take this event off. It's not going to hurt them. They'll turn it on in Fort Lauderdale or whatever.
Rest is a little more valuable than actually training at certain points of the year for them.
Yeah,
I'm trying to find that balance for myself too. So it's interesting hearing you. I mean, you've had 3 quads you've gone through now?
Yeah. Beijing, we missed.
Right, but you went through that quad.
But I started 2 years before that quad.
Okay, so part of it.
Yeah, jumped. My first international event was the first event of qualifying. And then, 2 quads after that. Yeah,
so you've done a lot at this point. And for me, I've done 1 quad. And I'm seeing how I did it myself. And I'm like, some changes are going to need to take place here in terms of going. I mean, for me, it was going super hard and then being kind of an idiot and eating like crap and whatever, drinking a little bit and partying a little bit. I mean, I don't party that much anyway, but I mean, part of me thinks that that's kind of what sent my body into shock with this whole autoimmune thing I'm dealing with. Is just, I went really hard with really intense stress and pressure that I didn't really know that I was putting on myself until I sat back and thought about it. And then the physical stress of 20 events and 12 countries and all that crap. And then I went straight into ankle surgery.
Oh, yeah.
So you throw in antibiotics and anesthesia in your system, and it just fully threw me out of whack. So next time, I'll probably take a page out of your book, try to find baseline where I'm not obsessing over my job and my
It's so
workouts.
Hard, though. It's so really hard. Because what I find happens is I convince myself to find that balance a little bit and not stress about it and not work so hard. And then I'll go to a competition and underperform. And I'm like, F this. I'm going to go home and step it up. Hard. It's not because, I'm not training hard enough. I'm not focused enough. If you just want to win that bad, it's so hard to take a step back and find that balance. And
exactly,
I went in this last quad. I think might have been the first year of qualification. I cut out alcohol for 6 months. I haven't done that since I started drinking, and went, and it's just awkward, you can be sober and that's great, if you think it's a problem, but it was just, for me, it was performance and training and how can I get that competitive edge.
Right.
And I'd go to the holiday parties and dinner parties and just to not be able to participate socially how you would normally do it because of volleyball. It takes a toll on you, and I don't know.
I just did it for health reasons, but I think I did 4 months of no drinking. So I had to go to my sister's wedding sober. I was like,
no.
oh man.
Oh no.
It's just like a joy of life. I don't know, like not.
You learn something else. You learn other things too, though. That you're like, oh wow, I can actually appreciate a few more things when I'm not drinking and remember things differently. But
you don't want to go to one extreme if you don't have to, or the other.
Yeah, you want to be able to enjoy a glass of wine, like just.
Yeah, but it's all out the window if you're not winning.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Winning is. We all care about it.
There is a balance,
probably.
but it's almost impossible to stay there. I feel like the baseline balance is like you're just kind of trying not to do too many highs and lows below and above that line. I feel like.
Yeah, no, it's true. You're never going to
it.
accomplish it. You're never going to accomplish it, but you like start vibrating too stressful, you're going to
just obsessing.
Yeah, you're going to do something that brings you back down, and then that's going to have an effect, and you have to course correct and like go back up again. Yeah, I think that's probably the best that you can hope for.
You mentioned that this year, just kind of had a couple hiccups. It was definitely a different year for you because, I mean, for so long you've had just partner stability. When you and Jen partnered up in 2007, you guys played together through half of the 2013 season, and then you had Carrie, and I know that she was kind of in and out with some shoulder injuries, but you always knew that you had a partner when she was healthy again. So I guess
can you all hear that? My second glass of wine. I trained hard today.
She earned it.
One of the things I'm curious about is that because you and Jen were so good for so long. I mean, you guys had a stretch from 2008 to 2010 where you medaled in like 17 out of 20 international tournaments, and then you and Carrie won every single AVP in 2014. And then this year, I don't know, was there sort of a little pressure lifted, and that you could kind of relax a little bit, or
there's never a pressure lifted with April, I feel like.
Yeah.
For yourself, probably not, but maybe from the outside, was there?
You know what? It's so weird how far removed I am from external anything. I think I had to work at it really hard when I played with Carrie, because when I first got together, like everybody wanted to give me like what they were hearing or like what it seemed like from the outside. And like, you know what? I don't care. Like, this is not going to be good for me. And so I just blocked it all out. And I think I got really good at it, and I have no idea what the external thoughts are at this point. But for me personally, like I said before, like if I'm not winning events, like I'm super pissed, and I don't care who I'm playing with. And like after Rio, when I went to Chicago and Carrie wasn't playing, I picked up Kelly Reeves. She was new, and I went in, I expected to win. And like when we lost, I was super bummed. And this year with Lauren, like I thought we could go in and win every AVP. And so it was a frustrating summer, especially going to like 3 stars in Moscow and getting 9th place or whatever for 90 points. Like,
and a few bucks, maybe to pay for.
Didn't even break even, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
That's the worst.
Yeah. So I think my pressure comes from myself solely, and it's always there. Like the only reason, well, I kind of had to have some discussions with myself, going forward. Like, am I just trying to be good? Like, do I want to go internationally and just like kind of continue my career and like do the best that I can? Or am I in this because I want to go to Tokyo and get that gold that's eluded me for like 2 quads now? Like, what am I kind of in this for? Is it my career, or is it still like a dream? And so I decided that, this is me chasing my dream. Like, I haven't got it yet. Like, I'm going to be all in, so that standard is still there for me. Like, I know what I need to do. I know what it takes at that level. And so, it gives me renewed energy. But like, I feel like it's going to be a struggle. So I'm trying to be okay with myself and like the learning, like just the ups and downs and the learning curve still, but I know where I want to get to. And so this season was just subpar for me.
Has that always been your mindset? Because you've had so much success at
every step of the way. Like you were a Gatorade National Player of the Year in high school, a 2-time national champ at USC, and then your career on the beach has obviously been, sublime. So, at what point did you begin to see this drive where, if it was championship or kind of failure?
It's not even that. That's not my mindset. It's not like... It's honestly not as much about winning tournaments. This is a very subtle difference for me. It's about being the best.
Okay.
And so that was, for me, something I had at a really young age. And on my soccer team playing for ASO, like I'd go home and I'd train at myself after practice and like run sprints in my backyard. When I picked up volleyball, I'd, pepper against the garage, and I'd compete against the girls on my team. And like, I wanted us to win as a team, and I loved my teammates, but I also wanted to be the best on my team. And I wasn't okay unless I was. And I wasn't always the best. Like I got on teams and I was the worst in a lot of situations, and I had to really work my way up to proving that I was the best. And I don't necessarily think that's super healthy, Yeah. It can lead to, I think, a lot of issues, and it's not like I don't know I have a ton of issues, but I think that's what drives me, is like to be the best.
There's a lot of sacrifices along the way.
Lots of sacrifices. And I still don't know if people understand like how gnarly the sport is.
I try to study it from the outside, because for me, I see someone like you and it's like, I can tell that you just have this confidence that you can win. So you're not willing to settle with losing. Basically, it's just like, I know I can win. I know I have the potential. So I can't lose. I'm not willing to lose or like go into it with anything less than what I know I have. And your confidence is like, you've won it, right? At every level, pretty much. And I was actually thinking that same thing when he was saying all the stuff that you've won. I was comparing to me as like, everything that you've won, I've like kind of has barely eluded me. And it's funny because I'm trying to basically get to where you're at. I'm fully trying to be the elite world-class athlete, but I haven't had the wins that you have. So you're like backed up in your brain with all this like confidence because you won at the high school level. I barely won. Like my team won a state championship in high school, but they made me sit out because I played for a small high school. Just like small stuff here and there. The rice is done, and it sings a tune to us, if you guys can hear that.
And it's I think that's really interesting that you point that out.
Even your national championships in college, I was up 8-6 in the 5th set in the national championship at USC, same as you. I don't have a ring. Manhattan Beach Open twice. I had match point last year 2 years ago against Jake and Casey. World champs, we were right there in the quarters. Olympics, I made the Olympics, but I'm not an Olympian, technically.
Yeah, that's
so I'm trying to but I think it's mental. Really, like, if I wrap my brain around the fact that I've lost at all the highest levels, then that's what I'm going to get in return. Yeah. But if I just say that's what happened, but I'm still going to put my goal as legitimately and believe that I can be gold medalist at the Olympics, then I don't see why not. Yeah. Why it can't happen.
I think two things regarding that. Like, number one is it's not just you. It's the people around you. Mm-hmm. It's your teammates. I would not have won at these levels if I didn't have amazing teammates. Like if my coach at Harbor didn't, petition for me to get the Gatorade National Award or whatever, like I wouldn't have won that. So that was like a lot of his work. My team was great. We worked so hard in high school, and I had a lot of really good athletes around me, a lot of physically gifted people around me. So I think that went a long way in why we won. Same thing at SC. We just had such a talented team. So you can't like put that on you, you're putting yourself in all these great opportunities to win. And I think you have to keep fighting for that. Like all you can fight for is kind of to put yourself in the best position. So
just bettering yourself
and in whatever way you can, and just waiting for those opportunities to come through, and like they will come through,
Yeah.
I've been in a lot of those situations where games are tight and you do something stupid and you end up losing. Like I've been in a lot of those matches, and you have to learn from all of them. And I think number 2 is you can want it, and a lot of it is mental. And I think a lot of people just think I'll develop this strong mindset through playing and experience and that, but you really have to give some devoted time to your mentality. Like I think I read and I journal and I sit with my thoughts and I figure things out, and I decide, like I'll write, what do I think mental strength is, and this is what it is, and find inspiration from other sources. And one thing I did before Rio was I meditated every day. And I think that's really, really helpful. I meditated on how I was going to feel in matches when things got tight. And I pictured that emotionally, like how I was going to feel and what I was going to think, and pictured obviously myself doing things right and winning the match. And that, I think, like you have to just dedicate time to stuff like that. And I did that a ton in high school, and not meditated, but we visualized before like every match, and stuff like that goes such a long way. And I think it can be really underused by a lot of high level athletes.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, because it's funny that we're bringing this up, because this is like my main focus right now.
Buddha try.
This is the one like thing I'm super fascinated with right now, because all I have to work with right now is my mind, basically. Because obviously I can't work out until my levels are all cleared and all that. So literally I just got a 21-day challenge for meditation.
Oh, nice.
From a guy I'm working with. And I'm trying to do basically an hour a day for 21 days of meditation. And I got a bunch of these books and stuff, but that's like the first thing, like stuff you're touching on is like visualizing the person that you want to be, basically, and actually, more than that, actually feeling the feelings of that person you want to be when they're in that situation. And
then once you get out in those situations, like you have to trigger that and just...
You've been there before, right? In some ways, you've already been there. If you visualize being there and you felt these emotions.
Yeah,
like,
no, I've
familiar.
been in really tight situations and called upon what I visualized before, and been like, feel yourself slipping one way, and you're like, no, this is what I think in this situation, and that's how you act and that's how you play. And I think it's everything. Have you seen the movie Split?
Oh no, it's like 13 personalities.
I heard it's good. It got like rave reviews.
Yeah, it's crazy. I did not choose to watch it, but I watched it.
Yeah, it looked pretty creepy.
But I don't know the psychology about multiple personality disorder, but
it's creepy.
It is just pass the wine around.
Yep. Wine's going.
It's just all about how gnarly your brain can be. And like when these people switch, and I think they've done studies. I mean, I haven't really looked into it, but in the movie they say that, they've done studies, and when the same person switches personalities, they have physiological changes, so that's how, like, one personality will have diabetes, one personality won't have diabetes. And so like, that's how powerful your mind is. So I think it's just like really untapped. That's exactly why I'm reading these books right now. It's because it's called the placebo effect. I mean, the book I'm reading is like about the placebo effect kind of on your body. And I mean, I have a disease, like autoimmune disease, which I don't like calling it that because it sounds creepy. But but yeah, like according to these studies and stuff that I'm studying right now, I can just change the way I think, and it'll change my physiological structure, I guess, Yeah,
so
I believe that.
I'm going for it. And then once I figure out how to fix my body, I'm going to bring all this back to the beach so I can beat up on all those beach volleyball players out there. I'm saving up a lot of rage.
Yeah.
And be like April. I'm the new April Ross.
And I always love your posts when you have, like coffee and a book, and you just talk about just being very mindful, because that's like my morning routine is to walk the dog and then drink coffee and read a book for like an hour and just like kind of unwind for a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'm always a big fan of them. What are you reading right now?
Right now I'm reading Tony Robbins the Giant Within, or Wake the Giant Within, or something like that. It's one of his original books. And it's all about number one, how to like reinforce good habits and break bad habits, how to really solidify beliefs that are going to help you, like believing in yourself, and then creating like neuro associations that'll just reinforce your like the good patterns in your life and stuff like that. It's hard because the first like couple of chapters, I was like, yeah, I was super into it. And then it started feeling like he was talking to people with like kind of bigger problems than I have. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I like to finish books. It's like a prideful thing, but I'm trying to get better about like, if I'm not into it, like, let's just cut it off. Like, if it doesn't serve you, like I'm not a failure because I didn't finish this book.
I don't have to beat this book like an opponent.
I'm the same way. I just feel bad for the book. I'm like, you know what? You deserve to be finished.
And I've actually, this is really funny. Like it was drilled into me, you know, playing indoor for so many years, but just like not cutting corners and, like finishing the 20 minutes of cardio you set out to finish or whatever. And I'm trying to get so much better about like listening to my body. And if I'm like absolutely dying, like I can stop a minute early. Like it's not going to kill me, you know, and just training smarter. But
or even those like 5 seconds early. Like, would you ever stop at 55 instead of going to 60? But it makes no difference. But we would never stop there. It's like
I was
chance.
Yeah, I was working out at 24 Hour Fitness, and I don't know why it like stuck with me, but this lady was next to me and she was going and she did that. She stopped like 30 seconds early and just like got on her way. And I'm like, I would never do that.
Crazy?
But like,
you were so close.
Yeah,
and then you just lost.
You quit. You lost. But I'm like, it doesn't matter. Like she'll be fine. She'll be fine. You know,
totally.
She's probably totally at peace with her day.
She's getting somewhere. Just, you know, she's on her way. She's not as rushed anymore.
April went and jumped on her treadmill and ran the last 30 seconds.
It's like just not judging yourself so gnarly hard. It's tough.
How much do you think is, I mean, you're the first beach volleyball player I've really heard talk about so much about the mental game so openly, really. How much do you think is the balance between the physical part and the mental part? Because I feel like there's so much synergy there.
That's funny because Anthony Darmiento, our strength and conditioning coach at USA, me, Nick Lucena, and him were talking about this, and it's like, or Anthony asked us about it, and it was physical, mental, technical, strategy, and one other thing. Like there were 5 things. He's like, draw a pie chart. What do each one of these? How much weight do they have in being a successful beach volleyball player? And I went over and I like drew the circle and cut out like this kind of like I think I did like 25%, and I was like, this is the physical, this 75% is the mental, and or I put a little bit of technical and like a very small slice of technical and strategy, and the rest was mental. And then I did Nick's for him, and I did the circle, and I cut out about a 10% slice. It was like physical, and the rest was mental, like no strategy, no technique, no nothing. And he's like, yeah, that's accurate. But
totally.
I think at first when you start playing, it's a lot of technique, and you got to get that down. You got to do the reps and everything. And just the higher you go, the higher level you get to, the bigger the mental slice becomes.
Your body almost, it's like that. Your muscle memory, your foundation and your technical stuff is muscle memory. Your body knows it. It's like almost like you don't need to train it anymore.
Yeah.
Not that you don't, because you do, but I think at the highest level, like all of our technical skills and our fundamentals are like
you've done
just
it
on point.
Yeah, you've done it. And when you get into those competition situations, like your body just like remembers and kind of takes over.
I've taken a year off, so I might
well,
have
to a certain extent,
for my muscle memory, but yeah.
But now I'm working on, I'm actually getting a little bit back into technique right now, because I feel like with my broken toe and just not being in shape, like my approach has gotten really funky, and I'm using like all arm to hit the ball. And I'm like, when did this happen? I'm watching a ton of video. I don't usually watch video, and that's one of my big goals for this year is to like study my opponents, study me and our team. And I was watching my approach, and I'm like, that is ugly. Like, where did that come from? And so I'm trying to like go back to technique a little bit there, but I'm also working on breathing, which I don't do very well, and I've never really practiced. Like, I could be in the, best shape of my life, and I breathe like a buffalo all the time. Like, after every play, like, I can't catch my breath, and I'm like, what is this? And I had someone I'm kind of working with, like, watch the practice, and he's like, you don't breathe ever. And so he's picked out like these little spots where I should take a breath. And so I'm really in practice during reps, like trying to work on my breath. And I think that goes hand in hand with like my approach, because I think feeling like I can't jump very high, I can't move that fast, like I'll dig and then I'll like just charge in for my hit, and like I'm early because I'm afraid of being late and all that stuff. And so it's like I dig, take a breath. I get to like my spot before I approach, I take a breath. And so I think
feeling like you have a lot more time.
Yeah. So. I mean, watching the video, I have so much more time than I think.
Totally.
Yeah. So working on that, and like, it's just another thing to think about, but it's one of those things that if it helps me get a little bit better, like it's totally worth it. And I think at this point, like it's really hard to find those things that help you continue to get better. That's
right on line with the mindfulness approach that you're talking about too, right? Because I mean, breathing is just being aware of your breath. Like, we're always breathing, but like you said, you're figuring out that you've never breathed.
Yeah.
Or like,
I'll be in the car driving, and I'll hit a little bit of traffic, and then I'll feel myself starting to get tense. I'm like, oh, you're not breathing. Blue. Like, and I'll like force myself to start breathing.
God,
I'm like,
what? So good to breathe. Why? Why does that feel so good?
I thought this was natural.
Body, you were supposed to be doing this for me.
Do you ever do yoga? Because I feel like everything that you're talking about that you want to work on is like just right up the yoga alley. I know that I need it. Everything just kind of points towards yoga. You're right. Like everything I'm trying to work on, I'm like, I need to be doing yoga, and just keeping my body healthy. I think opening my hips and my shoulders and stuff, that's all yoga. And so I do it. I need to do it more regularly. I just like it because I can tell people that I worked out for the day. I really just stretched for an hour.
Oh my gosh. Well, I've always hated yoga, actually. That's why I haven't done it.
Yeah.
My thing is like, if I'm going to work out, I want to work out. I want to sweat. I want to like get on the cardio machine, whatever, lift weights. I want to work out. I love stretching, but if I'm going to stretch, I just want to stretch. I want to like chill and just not have a workout and stretch. And yoga is like this weird in between that I hate. It's so hard for me. And when I'm in these like poses and my legs are dying, I get so frustrated. I'm like, I'm not squatting, like I'm not lifting weights. Like, why is this so hard for me?
I'm not here to get a leg burn in. I'm here to stretch because I already got my leg burn in. And now you're making me work out on top of that. I'm supposed to be stretching.
The first time I did yoga, it was like a class with like 90% like 85-year-old women, and they were just kicking my ass. I was like, this can't be happening.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, it's such a practice. And I see the people who are in there all the time, and they're ripped, and like they seem like they just seem very composed and grounded. But the more I hear people talk about it, and the more classes I go to, I understand that it's learning how to be at peace when you're in pain, or like, I mean, and it's a good metaphor for life. Like if things are super chaotic around you, just learning how to stay composed, which is, now that I'm thinking about it, like perfect for volleyball too, like things get crazy, and trying to stay mindful and believing that your body can do what it needs to do. Like it all ties in. And I love yoga now. I love it. I'm bad at it, but
I think
it's good for traffic too.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
For traffic, yeah. I went to Bali this year for our honeymoon.
Oh,
and
that's
now
right.
I'm like you. I can't just go half in. Like I need to just be fully working out or not. And I went to Bali this year, and obviously I'm not supposed to work out much, so I fully like yoga at the lightest level, like breathing and sitting half the time, stretching for like or like doing poses for only like 15 minutes of it was like legit workouts for me. But that place is magical. Bali, if you want to like have an off season where you try to not be competitive and like fully on all the time,
I feel like I really need something like that.
that's your spot if you ever want to do that.
Yeah.
It's basically the opposite of you or me.
Yeah.
But
It's
if you're
easy to
looking
get
for that
into.
at some point,
Yeah.
oh my God, that place is crazy. Organic food everywhere.
Really.
Just like,
I'll have to get some info from you.
oh yeah. It's the
I don't
go-to.
know when I'm ever going to have time to do that.
Some off season at some point,
Yeah.
or after you play volleyball, after you're done.
Pencil it in for 2035.
Yeah, something like that. Highly recommend it though.
How long were you there for?
Only 2 weeks.
That's such a long time. I've never taken a 2-week vacation.
Me neither. I realized that I have a map right here on my wall that shows everywhere I've been in the world, and about one of those, which is Bali, I think, for my honeymoon, was like the first vacation I went on. That's not for volleyball.
But
And it
you
was
are
way different.
from Hawaii.
I am from Hawaii, so that's why we didn't
Fair
travel.
point.
We didn't travel growing up because I grew up
Yeah.
in a vacation spot.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was definitely different going on a trip to like enjoy what the place has rather than like get in, be super jet lagged, play, super stressed out, and then get in the car and
Then
drive
you
to the airport.
sightsee on the way to the
hopefully
airport.
not hungover. Yeah. like you and I had that car trip from Stad to after you won the cowbell. In Stad, we drove to the airport. It was like 2 hours to Geneva. I don't even know if you remember. 2 years ago.
Oh.
I was pretty hungover. It was like 5 a.m.
Was it? I think I remember. Did we try to pick up Jose Loyola?
We couldn't pick up anyone else because you had way too much luggage. I get in the car and the whole back seat's full of like April's stuff, and then her cowbell is like in my seat, which is like the trophy.
Oh, I remember.
that
I was
she
sitting in
won.
front of you, and like your knees were all cramped
Yeah.
up to your chest.
So we slid your bags. I mean, somehow got my bags in. Your bags were right next to me.
I remember
the whole
this
seat.
now, yeah.
And then you had your cowbell in the front seat in between your legs in this little Mercedes that was sponsoring the tournament. And we drove like 2 hours all hungover at like 5 a.m.
Oh,
like,
that was so terrible.
it's the worst thing in the world. But wow, look at the Swiss Alps. They're beautiful.
It did make it better. Roll down the window, get some fresh air,
Yeah,
fresh
some-
mountain air.
Exactly. But yeah, those are our normal trips. I took my first vacation. I was like, wow, this is way better.
It's kind of crazy when you don't have to actually like do anything for a
Yeah,
whole
exactly.
day.
What are we gonna
or,
do
like
today?
prepare for a tournament
I don't
or
really care.
recover from a tournament.
Yeah.
I've had trips to Italy planned the last 2 off seasons, and both times I canceled them because I didn't have time to take a vacation.
You got to get back to work.
Yeah,
You've been slacking.
yeah.
Okay, so I know that we have, it's not Olympic qualification just yet, but we're about a year away and everyone's trying to figure out what the teams are going to be for 2020. So have you started the partner selection process?
Yeah, and I wasn't sure how it was gonna go down. Like I feel ridiculous that I have this choice or whatever. Like I started operating under the just understanding that I was gonna have, like, number one, I have to prove myself. I'm always out to prove myself. But I thought my choices were limited, to be honest. And then as this Hague sign-up deadline got closer, a couple people kind of approached me and said, if you want to play, like, let me know. And it really, like, I was very flattered and, like, kind of shocked that people were so interested in playing with me.
We weren't shocked, but
Honestly, for me, it was, I don't take it lightly. And, like, I think if anybody wants to play with me, I think it's amazing. And so it was just really hard to figure out what to do. And there weren't very many chances to compete and, like, kind of try people out or whatever and see how it worked on the court. So just trained with a couple people, and it came down to just, like, really intangible things. And I decided to go with Alex Kleinman take a shot at Tokyo with her.
You mentioned intangibles, and those are always so hard to describe, but I guess what were some of those that you liked that you saw in Alex? And I was talking to Tri about it before he came on, and that you can't teach 6'5". So I'm sure that
We're both 6'5", by the way.
So
That really puts it into perspective,
sure that her
actually.
being the tallest of anyone in the room probably made a difference.
Plus, last week on the podcast we came, he said something about playing in April, and we both thought he said playing with April.
Right. So
we're like, I mean, that'd be a great team if you really want.
Juana Man volleyball version.
Yeah.
For the new co-ed league. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, back to Alex.
Yeah. I could just tell from just training with her, like, she comes from an indoor background, which I know that's getting, not as many players coming out have that indoor background anymore.
Well, didn't she get Gatorade Player of the Year as well in high school?
Oh, you're right. I think
so
she
you guys
did.
kinda
Yeah.
share that. And
Yeah.
then both successful in college. She didn't win the national championship like you did. She made the wrong decision there and went to Stanford instead of SC.
So easy to get into Stanford.
I mean, yeah.
Thankfully, that decision was made for me by my rejection from Stanford. But thank you very much,
there it is.
Stanford.
Don't tell them that.
So I guess our podcast is not going to be sponsored by Stanford anytime soon.
Hey, I ended up beating Stanford for my first national championship, so that was
A little redemption.
Sorry about
that was cherry on top.
Beat the trees.
Yeah. But are we talking about intangibles?
Right, and just kind of what you saw and liked in Alex.
Yeah, I think her, okay, so she comes from the indoor background and just has that really disciplined mentality. So the way she trains is very focused and very intense, and she understands like the importance of practice and coming to win in practice. And I think I hope it's not lost when the people grow up playing juniors beach volleyball, because it's kind of like more of a laid back culture, and it's like I'm out here on the beach and having fun. And I think there are competitive players, but I don't know, something about being indoor is pretty cutthroat, and then playing in Brazil for so long is, you really have to step up your game and be really good and want to win. And so I think her just mentality in practice and wanting to get better and how she's going to go about that, and always just coming with that competitive mentality was a big intangible for me, because I feel like in my career, I've gotten some victories just purely out of my determination to win. Like you get to this point and it stops being about doing things right or, making the perfect shot. It's about like your determination to win and your refusal to lose. And so I see a little bit of that in her. And then also her physical ability. I watched her a little bit, and just after one season on the beach, I thought she was picking up some really good things and was a lot quicker than I expected her to be. Like, she's pretty quick twitch for being 6'5", for sure.
Yeah, she was an outside hitter.
She played all the way around.
Middle,
yeah.
So that she played all the way around and was passing, so she obviously has ball control. And then, she, like you said, she played in Brazil and Italy, right?
And Italy, yeah.
Which is that's like
Top
premier,
leagues.
top volleyball.
And she has that chip on her shoulder a little bit. Like it reminds me of me when I got out onto the beach, because I wanted to go to the Olympics indoor. I wanted to, I tried training with the national team a bunch and just felt overlooked like all the time, and things weren't objective. I felt like my team always won in practice, and I never got a shot in games, at tournaments and stuff. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go do something where I can prove myself objectively. And if I win, I move up and stuff like that. And she's kind of the same way. Like, she could keep playing indoor and keep making a good amount of money,
right.
But she's out here on the beach because she wants to go to the Olympics, and she has something to prove. So I like that being, part of her motivation for sure.
She's definitely sacrificing
Yeah.
good opportunity in terms of money. I mean, I don't know exactly what it is, but the money for a player like at Alex's caliber indoors is very big compared to what it is for a player to just play on the AVP tour right now. And obviously, if she partners with you and takes advantage of every opportunity that is on the beach, then she can go beyond where she could have gone indoors, I think. But yeah,
Which it
she's
seems like
definitely
she's willing to do.
sacrificing and putting it all on the line.
Yeah. And I like that. And I think that's something interesting to invest in for me also, you know, and that's what I was kind of talking about before. Like, do I want to just continue this career and do good, or do I want to, you know, pair up with Alex, who potential I could see us going the distance and like being the best in the world. Even though there's going to be hiccups and challenges and we're going to be in the country quota and it's like starting at square one for me, but at the same time, what is the meaning of what you're doing if you're not challenged? You know, like if you don't have these things that are going to help you grow and things to overcome, like what's the point? Like you don't, it's not supposed to be easy, you know?
Yeah. And you're not taking the easy way out. I mean, you could easily take the easy way out and take the person with the most points and start with the highest seeding and give yourself the easiest route. But like you said, you have a goal to be on a certain team, and that's what you're creating. You see a player that has the potential to be that particular teammate, so you're going for it no matter what obstacles lie in the way of that. And I'm trying to think of that stuff too, because I'm going to have to pick up a partner here at some point.
Yeah.
So it's interesting for me to hear.
Yeah, I mean that was the choice. It was like the safe choice or the choice I thought, you know, was challenging but had the most potential. And also I think I've learned a lot over the years. And one of the things I've learned the importance of is building a like-minded team around yourself. Having the same mentalities and the same goals and the same work ethic are all really important, I think. And it's funny how interconnected, like Alex and I don't know each other very well, but it's funny how interconnected we are and how many of the same people we know and like really well. And it's my agent is really, really good. She works at Wasserman. She doesn't pick up people ever. Me and Jen got super lucky, the fact that we got to be with her and she reps us. And I didn't tell her that Alex and I were playing together, but she had reached out to Alex, but like without me even knowing, and they had a meeting and like, so she's picked up Alex. And so, you know, it's just like kind of all, it just seems like it comes full circle.
Stars are aligning.
Yeah. And, she played indoor with Nicole Davis, and I talked to Nicole Davis, and like they know each other. I think have the same mentality. I talked to Nicole Davis about possibly doing sports psych for us, and it just seems like everybody is kind of on the same page. We've asked Jen Kessie to coach us.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
And?
So she's trying to make it work.
Nice. So
she's initially working with us, and we've done practices for a couple of weeks now. She has a 6-month-old though, and so that's obviously like really tough. But I just think she has such, like, she played so recently and has such a, she's always had a really high volleyball IQ, I thought. And to have her kind of, number one, helping me for sure. And she knows me so well. I think she can help me get better. And then she was more of the blocker on our team anyways. So to have her helping Alex and teaching Alex, I think is so great. And her mentality when we played is something I want to replicate with my team now. So I think I don't know. It all makes sense to me.
Like you said, awesome. you haven't had a really chance to compete with Alex yet. So I guess what's the training going to be like? I'm sure it's going to have to be kind of expedited, you know, heading into The Hague, which is what, January 3rd? Yeah, January 3rd.
We're training every day, doing everything we can think of to get the ball rolling. And it's like she's very, very coachable, and I feel like we're getting better every day. There's just little things that you don't know about playing on the beach, and you can't really know about until you've like got the experience. So those little things are gonna have to wait for a while, I think. But when things are kind of in rhythm, at least, like she's pretty unstoppable. So that's a good sign. We just got to keep working on ball control and having it be like that as much as possible.
You mentioned when you were talking about this past season that it had a couple hiccups, and it wasn't all bad though. You just got inducted to the USC Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I'm excited.
I just walked by your poster the other day, or yesterday actually. I went to the Rams and who they
Saints.
play? Rams Saints game. Yeah, and we walked by the beach stadium.
Oh, that picture is amazing.
Your old school picture.
My old school picture. The picture is like the pictures of me on the wall in the Galen Center are even worse. Anyone who sees it immediately texts me and like with a photo and making fun of me. Yeah. Oh man, those are some awkward days.
I was wondering if ever anyone does anything worthy, if they get their picture up on the beach stadium from the men's side, since there's no men.
You
I need to talk to
should.
Anna Collier.
Yeah, you should.
See if there's a men's side of Title
My
IX.
head's at. I just want to get some attention. I got to go win something first, though.
So in terms of 2017, what did you learn, I guess, from this past year that you want to apply moving forward? We talked a lot about mindfulness and the mental side of the game. I guess anything else that you want to take away from last year moving forward into 2018 through 2020 in Tokyo?
What do I want to take from this? Well, this season has definitely given me new perspective and a lot of gratitude for being healthy, which I took for granted last year, especially in the off season. I was a little bit burnt out and I just stopped really lifting. I lifted a little bit, but like didn't have a program. I wasn't doing physical therapy. I just kind of like shut it all down because my mind needed it. But I wish I hadn't have done that. Like to feel healthy and good is like such a blessing. And going through breaking my toe and having some shoulder issues and stuff, I'm not used to being hurt ever. So definitely gratitude for being healthy and being as strong as possible and staying on my physical therapy. That's huge. And I think working, and this is really minute, but working on my routine at tournaments, because you travel and you get on, like, you deal with jet lag, and for some reason, like, my brain just wants to be not on vacation, but I have such a gnarly schedule when I'm at home. Like I work out and I train and I get over there and I'm like, oh, I could like take a nap right now. Or, I could put off going to the gym for like another hour. And then before I know it, there's no time left in the day. And so I really want to get my routine down at tournaments. And also just seeing again how much better everybody in the world is getting. And it's like, I need to study video. Like every year I say, I need to watch more video and I need to study these teams, because you play on the AVP and you see these teams over and over and over and you really get to know them, and it makes such a huge difference. And you don't necessarily get to do that internationally. And so I think watching video is going to be a huge thing going forward for me.
That's something I've kind of always went back and forth with, because Hayden actually doesn't watch that much video, and obviously my first like 2 years on tour, I'm like, whatever you say, Hayden, I'll do it, because I was a rookie and he's John Hayden, one of the veterans. But yeah, as the years went on, I'm like, should we be watching more video? I feel like there's something there, some value, and we watch it, and I'm also the very instinctual player, so I don't like to get in my own head and think too much, and I've watched a ton of video at times and like overstudied the game plan and overthought the whole game.
For sure, yeah.
But in the back of my mind, I'm just like, there's value there, and I need to tap into that, and I need to take advantage of it.
I don't think there's too much wrong with it. Like, I think if you understand that while you're watching video, they're playing a certain way because of who they're playing or whatever. But I think just your brain getting used to them and seeing how they play and just their just little tendencies and totally. How they play defense and
even
stuff like that.
The thing that I even see as a blocker is where they contact the ball on their body. For me, lining up as a blocker, like if you line up the same way on every person, some guys get it way out in front. Some guys get it above their head. You're like 6 inches, a foot off of your base if you're lining up in the wrong spot. And for me to just watch film and just not even look at anything that's happening, where they hit it, but just to see like the contact spot on their body, just the way that they swing, I can just picture it when I'm playing and be like, I know exactly where he's going to contact it, and I move my entire base of my block based on that.
And I think along those lines, like you don't even have to be cognizant of it, but like subconsciously, I think
Yeah, it's
your brain
subconscious.
is going to be like remember things and you're going to react different ways just because of what you've seen before. And you can always go backwards. Like every match is a progression. And I feel like you're always fighting the other team. Who's going to adjust better? Who's going to find the better strategy quicker to score those points? And you can always, so like, that's what watching videos for. And if it's not working, then your strategy is like, okay, I'm just going to go back and trust my gut and my instinct and like try it that way. But I think more information is always better. And it doesn't matter how good you are. You know, like Hayden's so good, but like, could he be better if he watched video?
Right.
Carrie didn't really like watching video, and could she be better if she watched video? And like, I think there's little competitive advantages you can gain by things you do, even if you are really good, and you have to do those little things, even the better you are. So that's huge for me going forward.
I feel like a lot of players get scared to, what am I even trying to say? Just like scared to go out of their own routine of things and be like, no, like, I know that my game's so good, I only want to focus on my game and not even put the opponent's game into my head. But there's some value there.
Yeah, I think I operated the same way for a long time. Like, it's hard to allow yourself a period of failing to experience those growths, like change is always going to cause you like some uncertainty and
unfamiliar territory.
Yeah, like you're gonna go through some growing pains, and if you're not okay with that, like I don't think you can necessarily get too much better. And so I had a very protectionist mentality, and I wouldn't read, like I got, people would recommend me books, and I was so concerned about messing up my mentality that I'd like read a couple paragraphs and try to decipher if it was going to help me or not. And like, I'd be so worried if I read the book, it would affect me in a negative way. And it's like, you have to trust that you can take the information and make yourself better. And like, things aren't going to make you worse. Like it might cause you to have to adjust in different ways to like learn things properly or in a different way, but like in the end you're going to be better. Like more information is never bad for you. I feel like.
Is there a particular team, I guess, that you wish you would have watched more film on at some point, or that you are looking to watch more film on in the future? Because I know for like the men's side, I mean, if you hadn't watched film of the Polish team and then just walked into them, you would get murdered. Right? You'd have no idea what they were doing. So I guess, is there a women's team that you are looking to, maybe the Germans, that you're just trying to pick up that 1 point per match that film might help you on?
Well, obviously, everyone who you lose to consistently, you need to watch more film on. I think going into Rio, I really wish I would have watched more film on our competitors, like even like the night before when we found out who we were playing. Like, I really wish I would have watched a lot more film there. Anyone new who comes out onto the beach, but generally, I mean, just the teams that tend to do well, consistently. So Larissa and Talita and Laura and Kira, a lot of the Brazilians, some of the Swiss teams now, you just don't get looks at them very often. So you got to watch video. And I think the number one, I want to watch myself on video. Like, I think that is such a huge tool to like learn. Like if what you think you're doing is not cohesive with like what you actually are doing, that's a huge problem. And it's hard to understand that unless you watch video on yourself.
You mentioned your approach earlier, when your toe was kind of messed up, that your approach kind of steadily declined. So was watching that video is sort of eye-opening.
It was so eye-opening. I was like, what am I doing? Why am I so early every single time? And then also what happens a lot is I watch myself play defense, and I am not giving 100%. I think I'm giving 100%, but I'm like, I can run faster than that. Like, what am I doing? I'll go out the next day and I'll dig a ton more balls because I just watched myself on video and I realized that I wasn't giving 100%. I did track and field in high school, and one of the best things that happened was I did long jump, and I was not getting very good results. And I was just hanging out with my friends, and one of them was watching me do the long jump, and she comes up and she's like, I think you need to run faster on like down the runway. And I thought I was running as hard as I could. She's like, you're not running very fast. And I was like, what? I feel like, she's like, no, just run faster. And like, so the next time I really ran as hard as I could, and I got like a way better result, and I ended up being pretty good at long jump. But it's like, what you think you're doing so often is not what you're actually doing.
Yeah.
And so watching video is, I think, the best thing you could do.
And now one of the fun things you did last year was you filmed a commercial with Karl Anthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell,
yeah.
which was hilarious. I wanted to make sure that I brought that one up. So how did that come about? I guess just kind of walk us through, because I mean, you made, these are two of the best athletes in the NBA, Karl Anthony Towns in particular. And they look just flat out silly.
Oh my gosh.
On the beach.
They look, other athletes look so bad and unathletic playing our sport.
Yeah.
It's
and
unbelievable.
everybody walks out thinking that they're going to be great.
I've seen,
like, it's so easy.
What, Kevin Love tried to play in a tournament. I saw DeAndre Jordan trying to play. Blake Griffin. Both of those guys you're just talking about. Shaq, you played against, was that you?
I
No.
didn't play against Shaq. I saw that, though.
Someone played against Shaq at one point.
I know people have played against,
ridiculous.
like, some NFL players that train at the Yard. And
Oh, yeah, like Russell Wilson.
Cam,
Yeah.
Newton,
Down here.
Cam Newton came in Baltimore and he got blocked by like a 5'5" girl. And the
Oh,
video,
I saw
the
that.
video
Went viral. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's how hard our sport is. I mean, you just got to be a real athlete, you know, not like these guys. These guys they're okay athletes, but they can't
How do
play
we
our
get
sport.
people to, like, appreciate that more? Like, how do we...
Just keep pushing that video out.
Yeah.
I know. That's a really good way to do it.
I claim it pretty hard. I mean, just in general, that it's one of the most all-around sport. I mean, for me, like, people ask, like, who's the most athletic person or athlete, and what's the most well-rounded sport? For me, I really like basketball because it's a mixture of finesse and touch with the physicality part of it. And these guys are good athletes. Volleyball is just like a different touch. Like
Yeah.
you just have to understand how it works. You can't
It's-
overpower it.
And you can't make mistakes. Like, if you're playing basketball and you have a weird dribble one way or the other, like, you can recover it so easily.
Right.
Or, like, not a perfect pass. Sometimes it gets picked off or whatever. But, like, there's just a little bit more room for error. I feel like there's very little room for error.
Yeah, like
in beach
your
volleyball.
platform half an inch, your right hand half an inch lower than your left, and you just lost the point.
Yeah.
You're like, it's just so minute, the details. And then when we turn the power on, it's like super quick, just like that, from like finesse to power. And we're like deciding last second. Like we go up to hit, then we think we're going to shoot, and then we hit again. Or like, you know, like it's that quick, everything that's happening.
Yeah.
And I don't think people really understand that. And when everyone watches our sport, they're like in awe of it. We got to get more people to watch our sport.
I know. Yeah. Well, that's number one. But then you have to know how to do all the skills. Like, you can't specialize in any skill.
That's what I love about beach in
Yeah,
general.
same.
Which is like, because I played indoor and I was the guy, pass. Like, I'll get it to the setter every time right where we need it. I'll cover you. I'll hit a high percentage because I'm chiseling the block. Or if I don't get the kill, it'll be in play, or I'll cover it and give us another chance. When you play professionally overseas, they don't care about that stuff. They're like,
Yeah.
bounce the ball. We want you to see you bounce it, and that's it. Like, we don't care if you pass well.
It
I'm
was
like, well, that's kind of my game. It's like doing
Yeah.
all the skills and
Yeah.
blocking, but
same.
you just want me to bounce balls, so I'm pretty much useless to you guys, and you're not going to pay me the big bucks, so
I've seen
I'm
you
outta
bounce
here.
a few pretty high.
Yeah.
I mean, I can bounce a few, but not like it was indoor where I have these 6'8" guys who can jump 40 and they're just like crushing.
Well,
and
now, like, after playing beach for so long, you think you could go back and be a better indoor player?
Yeah, I definitely could change my game a bit around, but I've just always been a beach guy. Like, I played beach growing up, and then my friends and everybody I played indoors with realized that I was good at beach more so I kind of got invited over to indoors with all of them, and I was like, all right, I can play this indoor thing too. This works. But beach has been my love.
Back on the beach.
And then when I came out, I was like, wow, Tri's like one of the top beach players in the U.S. And when I played indoor, it was like, he's just another indoor guy.
Yeah.
So I was like, screw this. I'm out. Beach is my thing, and I'm not looking back.
And one of the reasons that I kind of wanted to bring that up too is I was curious, and Tri brought this up before we went on, is that I guess how do you see yourself compared to athletes like Karl Anthony Towns, who's on the Timberwolves, I think still, and D'Angelo Russell was with the Lakers. I think he got shipped off somewhere.
He's old news.
Yeah, he's old news. But so we have a beach volleyball player at the top of the sport and two NBA players at the top of the sport. Is there how do you compare yourself?
Let's
as
be
an
honest,
athlete?
April's much higher in our sport than they are in theirs.
Oh.
But you're also, I mean, have you been to the ESPYs? And I know you went to the Super Bowl, and
I've
you've
been to all those things.
Okay, you've been on Gatorade bottles.
I know that. I think
That's awesome.
the more
That's
time
like
that
Wheaties
goes
status.
by, the more that is like career defining. Like, I don't know. Other than like Olympics and medaling at the Olympics and stuff, I don't know if it gets better than being on a Gatorade bottle.
That's like Wheaties.
I have
it's
two
right
left.
there.
I only have two left. I need to
What?
my Gatorade bottles.
Oh, what?
Can we
They
get a
got
back order of them?
I had like pallets, and I just drank them and threw the bottles away.
I
What am I doing?
I for sure picked your Gatorade every time.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
I wish you got a little commission off that, but probably not.
That's okay. Gatorade's a great sponsor. I know that was amazing. I was on 2 like primetime Gatorade commercials and a Gatorade bottle. Like that.
Yeah, that was rad.
That was the best thing. That's one of the best things that's happened in my career.
What's like the most surreal moment? I mean, I'm sure that was probably one of them. I mean, you've been on an Olympic podium twice. You've won all kinds of tournaments. Where I guess what's number one? If you had to pick one, that's not an easy thing for you to do.
Number one is for sure standing on the podium in the Olympics. Both times I'm like, how the heck did I get here? Like, especially in London. Like, London was hard because we just lost in the finals, and Jen was really bummed. And I this is like kind of off topic, but like, and it's more mental stuff, but like, I play around with how much should you allow yourself to beat yourself up about losing. Like, at the end of the day, it's about life and enjoying what you've kind of after the day is done. Like, after you've given your all, if you've given your all and you're prepared the best that you can, and whatever has happened, like, you have to still find some joy in that process. And so London, the ultimate loss, losing in the gold medal match, was really hard, but so we had probably 20 minutes, I think, between the end of the match and going up on the podium, and Jen was like real upset.
That's not long.
It's not long.
It feels like 5 minutes probably when you're like that emotionally. I can't even imagine how emotionally.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of disbelief. Like, the match is
Right.
over, we just lost. Like, what? Like, what just happened?
Right.
And so she was really upset, and I was back there being like, we're about to go on an Olympic podium.
Yeah,
like, we need to
screw it.
change this
I'm over
attitude.
it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be upset that we lost this. Like, we had never been to an Olympics before. We come in, we get the silver. Like, we had an All-American final. That's pretty cool. Like, I'm gonna go up there and I'm gonna enjoy the most I possibly can this moment. And so going up there and like was the coolest thing like I've ever done. And then same in Rio. Rio was almost the opposite though, because we won and we were ecstatic, but it's the bronze.
Yeah.
But it was still an amazing moment. And once you're up there, it's like for me, it's almost like it was just so rad that you can't wish that you were at the top. You can't like overthink it. But it is the most addictive and amazing like moment ever. So I think that moment specifically is what drives me a lot to like go for Tokyo and want to get that gold.
I've never thought about that either, and that the silver medalist ends their tournament on a loss, but the bronze medalist ends it on a win, a huge win too, because that win is the difference between being on the podium and not.
Yeah.
And I remember reading, I think Bill Plaschke wrote a story in the LA Times on how, he talked to you and Carrie afterwards, and Carrie was saying that this is, it's such a big win and she's so proud of it. And at first I didn't really buy it. So I was like, well, she's got a couple other golds she's probably pretty proud of. But that makes sense, too, that, like, it must have been hard to recover from that loss to bounce back. And then you guys lost the first set, too, and then win the next two set against the number one team in the world.
We were losing, like, 12-9 in the second set. That is the most in the zone I have ever been in my entire career. I was like, we once we did the technical switch in the second set and we were down 12-9, I was like, I am not losing this match. We are not losing this match. Like, just the biggest refusal to lose I have ever had. And then I was I got, like, this has honestly never happened to me before. Like, I got so keyed in. Got to update my USADA so I don't fail
Drug
this
testing.
test. Yeah.
Nice.
Like, I was just so keyed in on her hand and her approach. Like, I knew exactly, like, I felt like I knew exactly where she was going every single time. And that's a really good team. And she's a really good side out player. And, like, it was just crazy how much that pressure necessitated, like me raising my level and Carrie raising her level. And I struggle with this a lot too. Like, when you lose and say you get a 5th in a tournament or whatever, you're like, oh, this sucks. But then you get a 9th in the next tournament, you're like, oh, I wish I got a 5th, you know? Like, so I try to be as grateful as possible for, like, finishes or whatever. But I think 4th place is the worst finish possible. Like,
especially
in a beach volleyball
tournament that only comes around once every 4 years.
Well, especially in the Olympics. So
2 opportunities to be on the podium.
Yeah.
And 2 losses.
Yeah.
And then everyone
in a
steps
normal
on the
tournament,
podium.
it sucks.
Yeah.
But at the Olympics, like, so getting the bronze was.
I'm 3 for 3 on my bronzes.
That's it. That's
1
it.
silver only.
That for me is like, that's huge pressure, and coming through with huge pressure to get a bronze medal.
It's more of the you really, really, really don't want to lose. You're fighting for it, rather than like I really, really, really want a bronze medal. It's like I really, really, really don't want a 4th.
Yeah.
I mean, it's both, and you just want to be on that podium. But
yeah,
for sure, the bronze feels better at the time than a silver does.
It feels better at the time. But when I look back at both also, you don't realize it in the moment, or even throughout the journey, you don't realize it so much. But I feel like after the silver and the bronze, I look back on both those journeys, and the journeys honestly matter just as much as the medals, like how you got there. And I think if, like, you don't do as well, I think the journey matters, you know, just as much no matter what. But, like, if you get somewhere and you didn't enjoy it, like, that still kind of sucks at the end. So that plays into it also. But I've never been, like, I don't think I've ever been more relieved than I was after we got the bronze medal.
I could tell. I mean, just looking at it, looked like both of you were bought into that. Like, it seemed like even more so, it's probably hard to get Carrie wrapping her mind around wanting to win a bronze medal. That's just from my outside perspective. But you guys both looked like you bought into it and were just like, you guys had tears. Like, we won the bronze medal.
Yeah.
And I'm like, part of me is thinking Carrie's going to be there, like, in tears because it's a bronze medal.
Yeah.
Gold. But you guys were genuinely, like, just stoked.
It was
to be up there.
I can tell you it was very genuine and I know people, I could understand why people would doubt that it was genuine or whatever from her, because she has 3 gold medals, but, it was very, very genuine, which I appreciated, you know. Like,
no, you could tell. You could tell for sure.
But yeah, we were so bummed and, like, negative and, like, just, like, trying to get ourselves to turn it around. So we had, I think, like 24 hours between matches or whatever. She didn't sleep at all. I think I slept like 1 or 2 hours maybe. And, like, we were going to the venue and we were both, like, so pissed, like, not in a funny way, but, like, like, pissed that we had to play this match.
So it took like 22 of the 24 hours to wrap your mind around wanting the bronze?
Yeah, we literally weren't able to change our attitude until I think we started warming up for the bronze medal. And then it was like, okay, if we're going to play this match, we're going to win this match. Like, and maybe it didn't even fully kick in until, like, the second set, like, when it was on the line that we could possibly lose again.
That one ball that Carrie chased down, I feel like.
Yeah, that was
right?
the turning point. Many people have pointed to that was
I was
like
watching
the
right
turning
here
point.
in my living room, and that was for me the turning point. Until I was like, there's the Carrie. Because you were steady. You were pretty steady, it seemed like, and we're used to Carrie being really high level and more focused or whatever, you know, struggling with the float serve and all that. So it was like, all right, this isn't Carrie. Like, this is a little scary. And then she made that play, and then you guys did something like just super sick play after that. And then it was like, oh, they just locked in like together, and then you guys took it.
That was a turning point for sure. But yeah, I'd say that the standing on the podium at both those Olympics was just so surreal.
Even better than Gatorade.
Barely.
Yeah, Gatorade's pretty cool.
Oh my gosh.
We're going to have to find a way to like dig up some more of those, see if we can get some back orders on those.
There's 2 left, and they're in my pantry, and I feel like somebody could come in and just like not notice and drink it. I'm like, I need to put those in a safe somewhere so I can show
you
like,
refill
my
it
kids.
and put some dye in it with water. Hey, why is the seal cracked?
Yeah. But I also, another surreal moment actually was going to the Super Bowl for, I believe it was the 50th anniversary a couple years ago, and Gatorade invited all their athletes. Like, Gatorade doesn't sponsor that many athletes. I think there's like 15 of us or something.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And they invited...
If we could show you guys that list right now, go look it up. It's like...
I have a photo, which I'm going to talk about.
It's the ridiculous
And
company.
So they invited us to a dinner before the Super Bowl, and I didn't know who was going to be there. I was like, okay, yeah, I'll go to the dinner. And it's Peyton Manning and Michael Jordan and Derek Jeter and Mia Hamm and like all the best athletes like that just come to mind.
They're just gods.
Yeah. And I'm sitting there at this dinner with all of them, Abby Wambach, like, and then we all like take a picture afterwards, and I have this picture like framed, and it's just like, one part of me is like, okay, I you know, in one respect belong in this company. Like, I feel like I've worked really hard to be at the top of my sport, just like all of them have. But at the same time, I'm like, this is Michael Jordan. Everyone in the world knows who Michael Jordan is. Like, what am I doing here?
Yeah, totally.
But that photo is gonna be up on my wall for a long time.
I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting to see, like, because our sport doesn't get as much attention. So if our sport did get that much attention, then you'd be the, you know, you are that top player for our sport, but you would get that same attention. Like, how does it feel when you're like with these athletes? Like, because I try to like, and I'm basically making this up in my head, but I'm telling myself like, these NBA guys, all these NFL guys, they don't have anything on me. Their sport is put on a spotlight, so they get that attention and all that.
It's 100% accurate.
I honestly believe that I have the work ethic and everything else that it takes. They even have way more advantage because they have all the resources with all these millions of dollars and these teams that are investing in them.
And the players on the bench, you know, I mean, not to take anything away from their athleticism and how hard they work, but like, I don't believe that they have to work as hard to be on one of those teams as we do to be on like an Olympic team or on just an international team. Like, you have to be in the top 8 athletes, the top 4 athletes in your country to go to the Olympics. You have to be in the top 8 athletes just to compete internationally and like on a, you know, to get a
monthly stipend. Yeah, and that's just to pay for training.
Yeah.
Oh, and we book our own flights.
Yeah.
We don't have a private charter taking us around the country. We have regular flights that we've booked for ourselves to go around the entire world.
And I don't believe that for sure our sport is not easier to play. Like, if anything, it's harder to play. And I believe that it's as entertaining. Beach volleyball is my favorite sport to watch. Like, I think it's the most entertaining. And I mean, it's not like I don't understand other sports. I just really like to watch beach volleyball. And everyone that I hear from that goes to a tournament loves it. Like, everybody loves it. So it's just really frustrating that we can't step up our game a little bit. Like,
I went to my first NFL game yesterday, besides like 10 Pro Bowls when I was a kid in Hawaii. But my first NFL game yesterday, and like, I mean, I just sat there through so many TV commercials that were going on, and the players are just standing there, and then the defense is standing on the sideline. The special teams isn't really even a part of this sport until once every 25 minutes they come and play. And I'm like, how is this even sport? Like there's so much stoppage, and everyone's so specialized, but the business built around it makes it into this. I mean, and I watch NFL every week and NBA every week.
If you took that production team that produces NFL games and those sponsors, and you just slide them over to beach volleyball, like they could create that same thing. Like I really believe they could create the same thing.
Yeah, I think we need the business minds behind it and maybe a little initial investment push.
We've heard the MMA story with Dana White and what are the brothers?
Oh yeah, the brothers.
Yeah.
They just sold for like a few billion.
I think they invested. I saw this documentary on it, and they like took it. MMA used to be like beach volleyball, like real small.
Right. Yeah.
And they invested like $17 million in
really?
it, and turned it around and made it this huge worldwide thing, and just sold it for.
Yeah, they bought it for like $3 million.
Then
invested a fair amount. Relative to what they sold it, they invested nothing, and then like 10 years later, they sold it for I think $6 billion.
Yeah,
which is insane.
Yeah. So all you billionaires out there, you know who to call. Go ahead and direct message SANDCAST_podcast.
Yeah, we'll take care of it from there.
We got it from there. I'll give you my bank
some
account
wire information.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that we link to that photo that you were talking about. Do you have it on Instagram or Facebook anywhere that we could have it in the show notes?
No, but I'll take a photo of it when I get home.
Take a photo of your photo.
Okay, we'll make sure to get that photo up in the show notes.
And while you're looking for that photo on the internet, you can also go to wilsonvolleyball.com and get all the Wilson gear you need. And you can get it with 20% off using our discount code SANDCAST-20. All right, the AVP is fully back. We're in Atlanta. We're in Manhattan Beach. We're in Chicago. And you know what ball we're using? We're using Wilson. So get yourself a bag of Wilson volleyballs today. Get yourself a Wilson volleyball cart. I don't care. Just get Wilson and use our discount code SANDCAST-20. It is the best ball in the world, and you need to use it. Go Wilson.
All right, we've got our last segment here. We have our fan questions here for you, Miss April. Now, a couple of these we've already sort of covered, so I'll have to do a little bit of editing. So this one is from Waheen Fan 44. He said,
"Are these made up?"
I don't know. It's from Volley Talk.
Joaquin?
No,
So
Volley Talk.
It had an H in there.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. So sorry if we mispronounced that, but it says, besides USC, what schools did you consider in your college choice?
Oh, I haven't had that question like ever. My first choice for a long time was Stanford, and then UCLA. I looked at University of Washington and Hawaii, and I think USD were my top 5. And it was kind of embarrassing because I was getting letters from every college, and just started to get this impression that I could choose whatever college I wanted to go to. And I said, okay, I want to go to Stanford. And I hadn't gone on my trip there. I hadn't applied or anything, but I started wearing a Stanford sweatshirt to school every day. I have photos of me in high school wearing a Stanford sweatshirt like every day. And then I went on my recruiting trip, and they sat me down and said I was like their 5th or 6th choice for their team for that year. But they said, just apply and whatever. And so I worked really hard on my application. It was the only one I tried really hard on. And I sent it in, and my club coach got a call from their assistant coach being like, why did April slack off so much on her application? And he kind of like came down hard on me, and I was like, no, I tried really hard. And so they rejected me.
They're like, oh, well, then you're rejected.
Yeah.
You tried hard.
Yeah.
For the record, Stanford's acceptance rate is 4.7%.
And
so you're one among many.
Yeah, I've bonded with a couple others who've gone through the same thing. And then I didn't consider USC until Jarrett Elliott somehow weaseled his way into a home visit with me, and he sat down, and I had no intention of ever going to USC, and did his video presentation or whatever, and my mom, my dad, they were both UCLA people. My aunt and uncle went to UCLA, and he just did his pitch. And afterwards, me and my mom were like, oh my gosh, this just seems so right. And then I took my visit there and fell in love with it. And my visit to UCLA was like the opposite. I just didn't feel at home at all. And so I ended up going to USC. Not one of my top 5 at all, but it turned out to be the right decision.
I'm so curious about the recruiting process back then, because now it's insane. Like, an athlete will tweet, "I'm committed to Oregon," when they're a freshman in high school, and they'll have 300 stories written about them in a day. And then, back then, Twitter's been around since like 2010. So obviously we didn't have this. So what was the recruiting process like back then? It's probably a lot more quiet than it is now.
Yeah, it was very quiet. Now. Very quiet. Yeah, I mean, I didn't take. I was a late committer, but I didn't take any visits until my senior year. I committed till my junior year or my senior year. No, I think it was my senior year. I took only unofficial visits. I didn't take any official visits, and committed like December of my senior year, I want to say. So it was super late.
Did they take you out on frat row?
They knew. So I didn't drink in high school, so they knew. Like,
smart.
Yeah, I went to UCLA, and this is, if you're in college and you're trying to get someone to come to your school, like, do your research, because I went to UCLA and the seniors took me around school, and all they were talking about was how hard they were going to haze the freshmen, and that scared me away. And I said,
I'm going to be a freshman.
Yeah,
What?
And I don't drink, and you're going to try and make me drink. And so I got real turned off by that. And all the girls at SC knew, like, don't do that. So we just had a good old fun time, and yeah.
So UCLA scared you into being the National Freshman of the Year at their rival.
Yep. Thank you, UCLA.
Talk about a backfire right there.
We took Brad Lawson, he was one of the top recruits, on his recruiting trip at SC. We took him to a Stanford game because they sucked at football, and we were obviously SC at the time. We were like number 2 in the country. And Stanford upset.
Oh, was this the Jim Harbaugh, Andrew Luck upset?
In the Coliseum, they upset. And then Brad committed to Stanford, won a national championship his sophomore year as the MVP of the Final Four. We took him to the wrong game.
It's all the football team's fault.
Yeah, it was football.
It's always the football
That was on
team's
them.
fault.
Recruiting's a risky game. Now we have a question from Tams. He says, what is the most memorable match of 2017? And I guess you can go either or here, and then most memorable match of your career.
Most memorable match, the first thing of 2017 that comes to mind is the semifinal against Canada in the World Championships. It was just like everything came together for us. That was so exciting. The fact that, like, you get into the semis and it's in such a big tournament, and like, the difference between winning and losing that match is so huge. So, not
to mention, you guys were down. Like, you got smashed against Emily and who was it?
Yeah, Nicole.
Emily and Nicole in the
17th.
first.
Yeah.
And then you guys pulled that match out.
Well, yeah.
For 17.
Yeah,
I was watching
the first round out of playoffs.
Yeah, and I turned it on. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah,
what's going on here?
Yeah.
And then you guys pulled it out, and then
that was actually a really memorable match too.
2 days later, you and Lauren are in the finals of the World Championships.
I always have to remind myself of that. Like, when you're in tournaments and things get really, really hard and really, really dire, like, I've very rarely won a tournament where I didn't have to turn one of those situations around. It's never like easy. You don't like roll to a tournament win. You always have to like grind and get really like dirty and figure out like how to pull it out. So you can never expect it to be easy. And World Champs definitely wasn't. Not that we won, but I mean, silver at World Champs this summer was amazing for me. So winning that semi was huge. Lauren played amazing. Sided out so well against Sarah Pavin up there, 6'5" block. So that was most memorable this summer. And then in my career, the most memorable match, like when I can remember, like throughout the match.
6-man, 2000. No.
Yeah. I mean, one memorable huge match was against Switzerland in Rio. it was pool play. It was to win our pool. And I think we ended up winning 15-13 in the third. And that was a scary one. Like, that was the first match in Olympic Carrie's career that she lost in the Olympics. And it just was gnarly. And it was a team that we thought we should, like, kind of handle. And they gave us a run for our money. And we eked it out 15-13. And that was a huge win.
That would have been her first match loss.
Yeah.
If you lost.
Yeah.
Wow.
We waited till the semis to do that.
Yeah, we did.
But I mean, it's hard. It's hard to beat the semifinals in London and then the bronze medal match in Rio. Those were two of the most memorable. And then I'm going to mention a third, which it was actually against Stanford at Stanford. I think my senior year, it went 5. We had this gnarly rivalry, and they actually, something happened. They thought they won. They started celebrating. And then Agana Namani, does that name ring any bells? She was like, they're starting outside.
It's a great name.
Yeah, she's an amazing, amazing person. She was really good. And the down ref, no one saw, but the down ref had called net on her. And I think this is the story I heard. He asked her if she, like, you net, right? And she, like, admitted to netting. And so they were celebrating. We had already walked off the court in defeat, and then they called us both back out to the court because she had net. And we ended up winning that match and going on, I think, to an undefeated season.
No way.
Yeah. So that, I remember that match pretty vividly.
She needs some sort of, like, sportsmanship medal.
No,
she gets it. Like, she is that type of, she's that person.
If I was on her team, I would be so pissed. Like, there's no sportsmanship medals. You need to, don't show up to practice for a week. It's the ref's job to call that.
That's an ethical sports question. Like, the referee is there that's their job.
Yeah, my job is to play and then to walk back and serve when they tell me to, not to tell the ref what the right call is.
I've set my own policy. So in CBVAs, I have to call it myself.
Yes,
because the refs aren't paid. It's the paid ref versus the not paid ref that sort of does it for me. Like, if that's his job, like, sorry, I'm not helping you out if I hit the net.
It's the Swiss guys that are the only guys on tour that will, like, call stuff on themselves. And then, I mean, there's one guy, Gabathuler, you know him? Uh-huh. He's gotten mad at me on multiple occasions for not, like, calling my own touches or, like, for fake. Like, I touched the ball, it went out. I was like, no, you know, just like, like everyone does. And he's, like, staring at me through the net. Try. Come on, try. How are you going to do that? You know you touched it. I'm like, yeah, but he didn't call it. Yeah. Like, what do you expect here? Like, we're playing for thousands of dollars, and I just flew across the world to play you. And then he did it again. Actually, he wanted the ref to give me, like, a card because I swore. I was like, are you serious? He's like, at the ref, he said this word. He said this word. I'm like, yeah, who cares? Like,
yeah,
we can swear. I mean, you know, you get a card.
It's a professional sport. Like, have you seen some of the, like, videos of the NBA players, like, mouthing what they mouth?
Oh,
like,
it's a joke. Come on.
Yeah.
Like, if we heard what happens in an NFL huddle,
it
would be, everyone would be getting arrested probably.
Yeah, it's not your job to police yourself once you're in competition.
So when you net, don't call it. We know your opinion.
No, don't call it.
You can feel bad about it.
You can feel bad, sure, for sure.
Actually,
and
no,
then,
you can't. No, you can't. You can't feel bad. You just got to let it go.
After the match, when it's over, if the other player comes up to you and it comes up, don't deny it. If it didn't happen, be like, yeah, the ref missed that. Yeah. That's my policy. I'll be like, yeah, for sure I touched it.
But that's
like,
also a big reason why they need the challenge system. And they got the challenge system.
Challenge system's good. I think. It works really well.
Yeah, they need it because it's their job to referee the match and make sure it's fair. It's not your job. Like, when you're, no, it's not.
Done.
There you have it. If you're in an AVP qualifier, don't call your nets.
But when you're in practice,
tournament. In practice, call it. You have to call it. That's more for you to get better.
And CBVAs,
yourself.
Call your nets and touches. The refs aren't paid. We'll have a couple more. This one's from JB Southpaw. Actually, the next couple. So the FIVB schedule, I'm interested in your thoughts on that. We talked about just kind of how early it is, and that's just kind of killing everyone's off season. But what do you think about the location of them? So JB Southpaw has pointed to the number of Asian countries on the FIVB schedule, and your thoughts on that?
well, China's killing it, so that's what happens. You got to go where the promoters have money and where they value sports, and that's China for one. I don't mind going to the Asian countries. Like China's rough, but I don't mind it. Like, it's interesting, and when you go places like that, it's really easy to focus on volleyball. Like, you're just there to play because there's nothing else to do.
Japan's one of my favorite stops.
Japan.
It's a lot different than China, though.
It's very opposite of China.
Yeah.
But it's just extremely hot. That Yokohama tournament was the hottest tournament I think I've ever played. I didn't think it could get hotter than Brazil, and Yokohama
it was Yokohama and then Mexico for me, but I think Yokohama took it. Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah.
Like players were, there's pictures of them sitting in the ice cooler. Like, we're throwing the water bottles out of the ice cooler because we wanted to be in it.
We had them
like
bring
heads,
in
everything.
fans into the player boxes.
Yeah, it was gnarly.
Yeah.
Like, where you're trying to survive kind of thing.
I love talking to you guys about this stuff because that's the stuff you don't see that on YouTube or, wherever you're streaming the games. Like, it just looks like normal beach volleyball and it's sunny, but you don't see just like, it's like 120 degrees on the court and no breeze because it's in the stadium.
I think it got up to like 150 degrees on, like, it's way hotter when you put the thermometer on the sand or whatever.
Jeez.
It was
115?
No, it was like 140, 100 and like way up there.
The sand temperature?
This, like, not the sand temperature, like the heat down there by the sand.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe. It was gnarly. 140 is like death.
Yeah, I was gonna say
It
that's got to be
wasn't like-
unsafe.
Maybe it
Wherever
wasn't
the
150.
wherever the
I know
thermometer
that it was like
maybe, but-
130 for sure. When they put the thermometer on the sand,
Yeah,
it
it was
registered
probably sitting right on the
130.
sand,
It was
yeah.
sitting right on the sand, and it was at least 130.
And there's times where like you legitimately can't stand on that part of the sand because you're gonna get
You're gonna fry your
boils. Like your feet are gonna burn off. Like, they'll start boiling.
Yeah, that was.
You have to like run to like the part where the sand's dug up, or else you're screwed.
It's just like throw
And, like,
water
this
down
is-
the court.
This is a professional sport. Can you imagine NBA guys like when they step outside the sideline, their feet start burning?
It was a
and
big
they start,
deal.
Like,
It was a big deal
and
when
like,
the AC went out in San Antonio and LeBron started cramping because the gym was like 80 degrees.
poor guy.
April's playing on 150.
Like, come on
I'm
now.
like forcing myself to sit in saunas for like 45 minutes so I can handle the heat of these beach volleyball tournaments.
I did that Bikram hot yoga before
Oh,
Mexico.
that's so good.
It
Yeah,
worked.
it helps so much.
Because it's legit that hard, that yoga. Where you're
Yeah.
just like, why am I still working out?
Yeah.
But that's basically what our job is sometimes. Anyway.
But the schedule in general, I think it's pretty good. I just wrote it all down in my calendar, and it looks like I'm going to be on the road from like mid-April until September. But I prefer it like that.
What about the stars though? The fact that you're playing in fours and fives that aren't even equivalent to the Grand Slams that you were playing in the few years before.
I don't mind the star system, but they need to upgrade all the stars.
They need more value.
Yeah, all of them need more values.
Right.
Like maybe the one stays as is, but like the 5 stars, there needs to be more of them, and they need to have more points and more prize money. And the 4 stars need to be more points, more prize money. So it just needs to.
It took a lot of value off the top end, I feel like, for us.
Yeah.
Which
They
great.
spread out lots more tournaments.
Right. So everyone there's opportunity for everyone to play on the World Tour and get up to where we're at. But now you're taking away the value of.
Turned it into an amateur sport. Pretty
Yeah,
much.
now you're taking the value away from like where everyone's fighting to get to. It's like,
Yeah.
well, I don't really want to fight to get to the top because it's not all that great anymore.
Yeah.
A lot more participation
and
medals.
for me, like, I was spoiled my first 4 years because we had great Grand Slams, a few $1 million events.
Yeah.
My first few years, and now I'm looking back at it like, well, this sucks. It just got worse in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
Is there any event that you look forward to every year is kind of like the one that you want to play?
Now that you've been to everyone like 5 times or
I've
more.
never been to Porridge. I've never been to the Croatia tournament.
You haven't been to Porridge?
No. Every year something happens.
That's so weird.
I know. I feel like I would love it, and
It's a good event.
I've never been able to go.
It's good. And the side courts are like okay. It's not like the best side courts, but like yeah, you're in like this old European town, and the stadium's rocking, like all the majors.
And then
So it's pretty
there's the obstacle course in the lake.
Yeah.
That I
I
really want
definitely
to
took
do.
advantage of all that last year. We stayed for an extra week, and then we went across,
Oh,
took
really?
a ferry across to Venice.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, me and Hayden and Robin, his
Awesome.
wife, and Evie. Yeah, we stayed for a week in Porridge because we had to go to Poland, but that was 2 weeks away. So we just stayed in Porridge and did the high ropes, did the wakeboarding, where it tows you around the
Oh
harbor.
my gosh.
Wakeboarding, yeah, it's a good
How
place.
did you do in Poland after that?
Good question. We lost to Jake and Casey for 5th.
Okay, that's pretty good though.
We talked about this.
Not when you're trying
We
to
talked about this
qualify
last
for
week, too.
the Olympics against Jake and
And
Casey.
we,
Yeah, that's
well,
true.
because
And
Try had a
they're
little trouble with the
those stupid
food
little-
in Poland.
Oh yeah, we got super sick.
Where was it in Poland?
Wait, was that one? No, that was the one before. Yeah, me and Hayden both got super sick. Wait, I can't remember. They all blur together. It was
Was it Star Jablonski?
no. It was
Olsztyn?
Olsztyn, yeah.
Olsztyn?
We got super sick. We had to forfeit against Allison and Bruno because me and Hayden were both throwing up and coming out the other end.
That's
sharing
happened
a
to me
room.
once in my career, and it was in Thailand. And I thought I had food poisoning before that. No.
Well, everyone, yeah. I've
I
heard
learned what food poisoning was in Thailand, and I could not get out of bed to go play. Like,
No.
I felt like the biggest wuss for forfeiting because I had food poisoning. I'm like,
And that's Allison and Bruno for us too. That's like, first of all, at the time we were 2-2 against them all time. Like, and
that's
not
pretty
many people
good.
had a good record
Yeah, that's
against
really
them.
good.
And it's Allison and Bruno. You want to go beat the best team in the world.
Yeah.
So we had to forfeit that one, but that sucked. And I got it in India, really bad.
Did you play? Was that a tournament in India?
That was Junior World Championships with
I
your roommates,
heard
Carson
about-
Clark
yes,
and
I
Kyle Friend were there.
Heard about this.
Oh, it was
Nobody
really bad.
wanted to go.
It was really bad. And I got like a few IVs, but out there they don't have regular IVs. It's basically like a Gatorade bottle full with saline. The nurse is like, we don't know how to use these IVs because they're not bags. They just gave me these water bottles. I'm like, well, I can't even think straight right now or walk straight. So do what you got to do.
it.
And then they're straight needles. So like the metal needle, they leave it in for like 2 hours.
Oh my gosh,
rather
how
than
painful.
like putting the metal needle in and pulling it out and the rubber's lifting you so it bends. So I couldn't move my arm the next day. I'm like, yeah, coach, I'm good. Let's do this. I think that's a good platform that my arm's stuck in. Anyway, yeah, that happens every once in a while for us.
Yeah. Traveling is rough sometimes.
But you do have a lot of traveling to do this season, so we're looking forward to you and Alex Kleinman in the 2018 season. Now, where can our listeners find you on social media? Do you have a website? Where can they connect with April Ross?
I am April Ross Beach on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. Oh, no, I'm April Ross Official on Facebook. So facebook.com/April Ross Official. And then my website is aprilrossbeach.com. I was going to say
Pretty easy to
something.
find.
Pretty easy to find. Yeah.
Now, is there anything else that you want to mention? Anything that you wish you would have asked us?
Do you want to come on the
We would have
podcast
asked
more
you?
often?
Yeah, I might be interested in being on the podcast more often.
A
All right.
co-host.
I'll start brainstorming ideas for guests and
Yes.
topics.
Sweet.
We're digging deep, people.
We might have added the newest team member.
Or I'll just bring the wine.
The wine will be flowing either
That
way.
works too. All right. Well, we appreciate you so much for coming and hanging out with us here on a Monday night. Tri, thanks as always for hosting in the Born on the Beach
Shoots.
studios.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll catch you guys next week on SANDCAST.
Go Ravens.
Go Ravens.